Hey everyone. Happy Friday. Friday the 13th. I don't even know why this is superstitious. I'm sure there's a good reason. I just don't know why. So let me see if I can make sure everything is running and then get my slides shared. Okay. How do I see? I love LinkedIn Live. It's the best. Okay, so let me mute myself. Sorry, y'all. LinkedIn does not automatically update. Okay. I am live. Yay. All right. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen. I use StreamYard. I don't know if you guys know that you can't stream on LinkedIn Live on the LinkedIn Live platform. So Restream is one, StreamYard is one, Riverside FM is another. I am going to share my screen. Google has this new thing that is really pretty cool that I have not used before, where you can share your screen through Google Slides. Let me change it where the screen is bigger and I am smaller. Okay, let's get started. Hey everyone, it's Bethany Nonami. Thank you so much for joining me on a Friday. You are committed. So thank you for showing up. I would love if you can drop in the chat where you're coming in from. I am in Atlanta and it is rainy and gross, which for any of you who have a hair struggle, you know that the rain is not always your friend. So wherever you are, I am going to try and make this an amazing day. Hey, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All righty. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today and how we got to this point. And this is something that came up in recent conversations. So I have different programs that I'm a part of, mastermind groups that I belong to. And if you don't know me, my name is Bethany Nonami, and I love everything that has to do with sales. And I have always been looked at as an underdog, um, underestimated, which has worked in my favor. It used to annoy me, but then it kind of worked in my favor where it became my mission to make sure we win. And then when I went into business for myself, that became my business's mission to make sure all the people that are typically overlooked or questioned or not seen as a certain light, that we win on a big level. And I know that when we have knowledge and we have revenue and we don't have money stress and money scarcity, that we do incredible things. We do incredible things for our teams. We do incredible things for our family, and the world becomes a better place. But if you don't know better, you can't do better. So my goal in this session is that for any of you that are selling, and you all have to sell, whether you work for somebody else or you work for yourself, we have to get good at sales. And I don't want us to look at sales as this creepy, terrible thing that is like the worst thing ever. It's not what used car salespeople do. Selling is our sacred vehicle to get our gift to the world. If we don't sell, we're doing a disservice to the people that are in pain, that are looking for a solution, that are struggling with the problem. So if you shift your mindset that you don't sell, you serve, you don't sell, you help, then it doesn't feel as icky. But I had conversations with people about what's going on. And I've had people that I admire that had amazing, successful businesses that are letting people go. I've had other people that have had thriving group programs, training courses, speaking, that are going back to work. And even when I talk to some of the sales leaders, they're cutting teams or people are leaving and they're not coming back and they've got to do more with less. So if you are struggling, I want you to know that you're not alone, that a lot of people right now are struggling. And it's weird because nobody's really saying like 100% we're in a recession. Nobody's really saying that they're cutting back budgets. They're just not buying as easily as they were last year. So what I did a couple of weeks ago is I opened up Pick My Brain. So I used to do these and I loved doing them. And then I just didn't have the time to do them. have met with 50 different business owners or entrepreneurs about what was going on and what they were struggling with sales. And combining that with the conversations that I just had with a bunch of people, I'm like, something's going on. Like, what is going on? And it can't be just an isolated situation. So that started me on this rabbit hole of going down. So if you look at my calendar, this is my calendar in the last 3 weeks. And I took this morning so you can see like today is today. And I realized that this is a bigger problem. This is not just isolated to Bethany's small circle. This is not isolated to people that are in my world. This is across industries, across countries. Sales are harder. What worked last year isn't working this year. So we can't show up doing the same things and be disappointed because it's harder. It's harder for everyone. I did talk to 2 people out of 111 that are plateauing, doing what they did last year, or growing out of 111 conversations. So there are people that this is possible. You can grow. You can do well in this world that we're in right now, but you have to do very specific things. And that's really what sent me down this path. So this is a release. I'm going to release this on Tuesday. My analysis, all of the data, but you guys are going to get the cliff notes and you're going to get the preview now. So thank you for showing up and you're welcome. You get this now. Now, for those of you who are typing in the chat, LinkedIn is weird. I'm going to try and keep up with it, but I may not be able to at all. So I just want to make sure that everybody, if you can see my screen, just give me a thumbs up or let me know you can see my screen. Hey, Metro Atlanta. Yes, knowledge is power. So I hope you can see it. It looks like you can see it. So let's dig in. We looked at data from over 100, 2,000, almost 1,200 buyers and looked at data from 7,200 reps. And basically it was 150 pages of reports and data that we looked at. So this is the pretty version of all the screens of what we looked at. Before I get started, if you don't know me, my name is Bethany Nonami. I grew up in technology. I started in technology a long, long time ago before Windows was a thing. And I've spent the last 28 years selling for or to corporations. I run an award-winning sales training practice where I help business owners and people with teams sell better and make more money in less time. And I also love to talk about everything that's related to sales and AI. So drop in the chat if you can for me. I don't know how I'm going to see it. I didn't think this through. Thank you, Jennifer. Drop in the chat if your sales are down, if they're the same, or if they're up. If you feel comfortable, if you're like, I'm not putting my stuff in the streets, that's fine. You don't have to. Just trying to get some audience participation in LinkedIn, which is hard to see. So maybe I won't do that next time. Okay. So here's the summary of all of this data that we looked at. Sales are down on average 30%. So most of the people in the data, thank you. Yay, yay, yay. Down, not yay to down, but thank you for participating. Sales are down 30% on average. So some people were down 15%. Some people were down 50%. And if you look in the chat, you can see most people are down or the same. And there are awesome. So some of you that are up, good job. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. Reach, engagement, and social are down. Now, I also put reach and engagement with cold outreach. So I don't know about you, but I get pitched constantly. And I'm like, who do they think I am? They think I have this massive team of 100 people and I can buy $6,000 a month software? Because I can't. So I get pitched constantly. You're probably getting pitched constantly. The best are when you get pitched for the services that you actually do. So we've all been there. Social is noisier, engagement and reach is down, and everyone is pitching. So to just stand out in that is difficult. Deals are taking 22% longer to close. So if it took you 6 months last year to close, it's taking 7 to 8 months to close this year. So whatever used to work, we've got to extend that sales cycle, which many of us aren't factoring it for because we're used to how long it takes to close. The other thing is customer acquisition costs are higher. So if you're advertising, ad costs are higher, reach is down, your cost per lead is higher. Now, for some of you that have bigger advertising budgets and you can test multiple things, then your ad cost might not be down, but you also have an advantage because for many of us, we might be able to run a ad, but we're not running 10 at the same time to figure out which one's working better. So for most of us, cost and their cost to acquire a customer is higher. And inbound leads are dropping. So all these things like our outbound's not working as well, our socials not working as well, the deal time is taking longer, and we're not getting as many inbound leads. So we've got all these factors that are weighing against us. Now, here's what else is going on. Many of us sell one-offs. We're not selling recurring. So there's a lot of work to get a new sale. If we can tap into people that have already bought from us, that we've already delivered value, then we should be tapping into existing customers. And some of us don't like to ask for help. We don't like to ask for referrals, but we have to shamelessly ask right now. Because if you've delivered value for past clients, and maybe they don't know what you're doing right now. So for those of you who are multi-passionate, like I am, like I like sales and I like LinkedIn and I like AI, then we're probably doing new things. And if we had customers 5 years ago, it serves us to just get in front of them. How's it going? What's going on? Hey, I don't know if you know, we've started to do a ton of things with LinkedIn. We started to play around with AI. Are you guys using AI? We have to tell people what we do. Nobody knows what we do. And especially for those of us who are multi-passionate and multi-talented and we do a lot, we have to let people know at least on a quarterly basis what we do on every platform. You can send that in email, you can send it in text messages, you can also post it on whatever socials you're on. Hey, I'm super excited. We're working on this thing. I'm looking for a couple of business owners that are trying to get this outcome or trying to solve this problem. Not everybody's going to see it. So they're not like, oh my God, Bethany's posting about Bethany again. No, because nobody sees it all the time. 59% of buyers said the salesperson just doesn't get me. They don't understand my goals. They don't understand my needs. They don't understand the reasons that I buy. So they may be buying from certain people, but maybe they're buying because that's the only way that they can get that problem solved with that software, with that project, with that company, but they don't feel understood. And then here's the one of the biggest things, and I think this number is higher, but just the research we looked at is buyers want to research and educate themselves. So I've been in sales for a long time. Like when you had to look up a company in the yellow pages and call their number because websites weren't a thing. Like they don't have to do that now. And we've seen statistics where buyers have researched 80% of what they want to know before they ever reach out to you. So you have this opportunity that you can be the go-to that educates and gives them research and gives them data. But of course, it's going to differentiate you in that content, in that copy, in that education. And 80% of sales interactions start and happen on digital channels. There's a person in a networking group that I'm in that did $1 million in the last year and does not have a website. He did $1 million on LinkedIn. That was like the old Facebook days. Do you guys remember when Facebook first came out and people were like, I just have a Facebook group and that's how I make money. And then their ads got shut down or their page got locked and their entire business was at the ransom and being held hostage from Facebook. You have to be present on whatever digital platform your buyer is on. So I don't go on a lot of socials. I'm just like a 90-year-old woman, I guess. So I only go on LinkedIn. So I'd love to hear for those of you who are on socials, like where are you selling? I'm selling primarily in LinkedIn. So I'll participate because now I can see the chat. I don't know where that was. So I'm participating primarily on LinkedIn. Not a fan of Facebook, not a fan of the gram, and I'm not going to ever dance on TikTok. I'm just not going to do it. So I just prefer to be on channels where my buyer is. Now, So let's talk about some of the things that you can do. So that's kind of a summary of there's a bunch of data. It talks about, thank you, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It talks about way more than that, but I just wanted to summarize like some of the things that we can actually take action on. So let's talk about how we can revive. The rest of this time we're talking about what you can do. Some of the mistakes that I'm seeing people make are they're not adapting. They're doing what they did last year and they're expecting it to work the same. Now, it may work, but it's taking longer and you have to take more action because they're not seeing you as much, because you're not getting the same reach, because it's just not working as well. So we can't do the same volume we did last year in effort and energy and time and get the same results. We're not going to get them. And we also can't do the same things that worked last year and not experiment and not try other things. So the mistakes that I see people make are just, I'm doing the same thing. And it wasn't a mistake. It's just like, I don't know what else to do. So we're going to talk about different ways. Alignable. Huh. I'm on Alignable and I don't do a lot of business on Alignable, Jennifer. Somebody said they do business on Alignable. I have that account and I've never sold on it. So we have to adapt to buyers' behavior. If 80% of buyers want to do their own research and want to educate themselves, and if you're not showing up, providing content that is valuable, that differentiates yourself, that positions you as a leader and as the person to hire, then they're going to find it somewhere else. And I'm not talking about like a blog on your website. I'm specifically talking about where people are searching for you. And we'll talk a little bit about LinkedIn. I don't think I have slides about the data on LinkedIn. I might have one or two. We'll see. And then you want to be positioned as the thought leader. You want to research and you want to provide the education that your customers and your prospects are looking for wherever they are. You also, when you do that, you influence the buying journey. Regardless if they understand it or not, if you deliver something that's highly valuable. So I just had a conversation with an engineering firm and he was like, we're word of mouth. And that's how most of us grow our business, word of mouth. And even if we're sales reps, what do? We go back to all our contacts and say, hey, I moved to this new company. I'd love to talk to you about it. What are you guys doing for this thing? Word of mouth and referrals are gold because you are selling to someone that trusts you. But we have to get good at selling complete strangers because we can't scale word of mouth. We can't scale referrals. And if you do, you have to have so many in the pipeline. You have to have a really high volume. But if you post highly valuable content in this engineering firm, I was like, how many mistakes do engineers make? What can they possibly do? He's like, oh my God, they can do this. 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 And I was like, how would I know that if I'm a buyer? And he's like, you wouldn't, because engineers interview great. And they're like, oh, I've done all these amazing things, but you don't know until they start to mess up your building that they don't know what they're doing. And I was like, well, how can you educate me? So there's things that I can look for. How would you know that an engineer isn't good? And he's like, oh, well, they would say this. I would ask this question. They would do this. That's content. If you can help educate and you're serving them and you're helping them along the way, and it helps them influence how they buy, that builds trust and authority for you. They're only looking because they're trying to find an engineering firm. But if an engineering firm is talking about, oh, we won this award, and you should talk about that. That's not a good example. If an engineering firm is talking about, oh, it's Throwback Thursday, and we asked everybody to dress up like what they looked like when they were on Zooms 3 years ago. It's fun, but is it valuable? Is it educational? Does it give the buyer the research and the knowledge they need so they hire the right company? No. Does it build reciprocity where they're like, oh, they really know this engineering thing? I would have never thought to ask those questions. No, that content is important, but that shouldn't be the content. You should have very intentional and strategic things that inform your buyer, overcome sales objections, and position you with your differentiators. So part of that process is like, okay, well, what do we do better than our competition? What does our buyer need to know or need to ask? So when we ask and we answer those questions, they're like, oh, that was good. You can create that and publish all of this stuff online, and it positions you as someone that's serving and adding value and helping. What are you doing? You're selling, but it doesn't feel like selling. It doesn't look like selling. It's like ninja selling. And then we need to focus on what matters. And here's the bottom line: there are metrics that you can measure that don't matter. They're vanity metrics. I don't care about how many impressions I get. I really don't care about how many reactions I get. I care about how many people are DMing me or going to my website and filling out a qualification form or texting me saying, hey, we need to talk because I think I need to hire you. Those are the metrics that I can measure based on what I do and how I show up. Is everybody okay? Nice. Thank you, Jennifer. So I know it sounds like a lot. And you're like, okay, this all sounds like a lot. But what if there's one place that you could do all this? And this is not a sales pitch, y'all. So if you're like, oh God, she's about to pitch, I'm not. So this is all educational. And what if there's one place that you can revive like your entire sales world? One place, just one place. And some of you are already there because some of you posted that you were like in LinkedIn. Oh, Jennifer's talking about Alignable. Y'all, you should check out what Jennifer's talking about Alignable. So we're going to talk about LinkedIn. And a majority of the time that we're going to spend now, I'm going to tell you what's working on LinkedIn. And our reach is down by 40 something percent if you look at the metrics on the reach, but our sales are up by over 40. So just because things aren't working in 2024 world doesn't mean that it's not working forever. So what we're going to talk about is what is working. Okay, so really quickly, decision makers on LinkedIn. There are 90 million senior decision makers, senior level decision makers, or a person that influences the buying making process. They decide, do we buy the thing or not? 60 million can cut you a check. Decision makers are on LinkedIn. You might not have access to them. You might not be connected to them yet, but they're there. But let's look at the behavior. 86% of decision makers go to LinkedIn first when looking for a provider. They're not asking a colleague. They're not going to your website. They're not doing a Google search. They're going to LinkedIn and searching for a provider. So I don't know if any of you remember, you might be too young. There was a time that you would just go to networking events before websites were a thing and you would give somebody your business card. And that was it. And you're like, oh, you have an email, and you have a cell phone number. And it wasn't even like, it was like a Gmail or Yahoo, like unless you were at work. And then websites came out and everybody's like, oh my God, you have to have a website. People won't take you seriously unless you have a website. And you're like, oh, okay, I have to have a website. Websites used to be social proof after a business card. Now, LinkedIn is social proof before a website. So we sent last year, we sent over 50,000 cold emails. When we send links, we send LinkedIn link, we send a website link. 97% of the people clicked on the LinkedIn link. 97%. So LinkedIn has positioned itself as, if you are on there and you have a good profile, you have a solid business reputation. So for those of us who are like, LinkedIn is for looking for a job. It is not. LinkedIn is where you need to like be in a 3-piece suit. It is not. You need to be authentically yourself on LinkedIn so they see what they're going to get when they hire you. Not everybody is for Bethany. I think Bethany is funny and entertaining. Some people are like, oh my God, she is terrible. And that's okay. But you're not going to hire me if you think I'm terrible. And you shouldn't. But what I don't want to be is I don't want to be 3-piece suit Bethany with pantyhose on. And I'm like, hello, I am Bethany. And we are going to talk about how to get the best out of sales. Because that's not how I talk. And that's not where you're going to get. So for those of you that are like, oh man, I got to like get dressed, like dressed on LinkedIn, you don't. You do need to be decent. So don't like not be dressed. But you have an opportunity to differentiate yourself as your authentic self. And there are people that are going to love you for that. And there are other people that are still showing up in their three-piece suit and their pantyhose on LinkedIn. Great for them. But you can show up as you, selling exactly what you want to sell. Let's talk about what else. 91% of corporate executives rank LinkedIn as the number one source for professionally relevant content. Now, this is data around corporate buyers, but do you know who's on LinkedIn? Almost every small business owner. So if you sell to small business owners, they're there. If you sell to coaches and consultants, they're there. If you sell to financial advisors, they're there. No matter who you sell to, they're there. 74% of executives are on LinkedIn to make purchasing decisions. To make purchasing decisions. So, what other platform can you go to that people are there to purchase besides like the websites? Like, not talking about like a product. People are there searching for professionally relevant content, decision makers that can cut a check, professionally relevant content, looking for providers, and they can't find you. If you don't show up on LinkedIn and you aren't posting, they can't find you. Now, let's talk about the stats. 80% of our leads that come in LinkedIn close. Why? Because buyers are research obsessed and they're going through as much as they can. I don't even know they're looking at my stuff. Nobody engages. Nobody likes it. They just reach out and say, hey, I have a question. I want to see if you can do this thing. There's always a question. Can you do the thing? How much is it? And does the timing work? The ones that didn't close, it was a timing or a budget thing. They weren't on the fence about whether or not they wanted to work with me. They wanted to work with me. They just didn't know if I did the thing with this special for them. Everybody's special. And they're like, can you do this thing? Because I see you do this, but do you do this? And either I do or I don't. And then they're like, this is the budget, or we have a conversation about pricing. They never say this is the budget, but you say this is the budget, and then this is timing. Does it work or not work? There are 1 billion people on LinkedIn. 1 billion. Less than 0.004% post more than once a week. Not even 0.25% post once a week. So 99% of the people that are on LinkedIn just lurk. They're lurkers. They're looky-loos. They're just looking at content. They're reading content. They're binging with content. They're not engaging. Some people engage, but most people don't. So if you have decision makers and you're like, my decision makers have profiles, but they've never posted, your decision makers and 99% of everybody else's decision makers. So don't discount LinkedIn like you don't see activity and you think they're not on there. Some industries really aren't. We've had some that we've tried to target, like mega churches. One of my clients deals with mega churches. Mega churches really don't hang out on LinkedIn. I don't know. So there are some industries that they might have profiles and they literally are not on LinkedIn. But for a majority, for those of you who are on here, your buyers are probably on LinkedIn. And enough of them are on there for you to be wildly successful. So you just have to get in front of them. No matter what you do, I don't care what you do, you can lead your category. You can be the thought leader for whatever it is you do. Because even if you have a competitor that's showing up, they might be advertising, they might be posting once a week, or they might be posting the Throwback Thursday stuff. You don't know. I use a tool called Clio, Kleo. Big fan of free. Y'all know I'm cheap. Clio will help me find, I'll put it in the chat. It's a Chrome extension and it is, I use it for research on content. So Clio, I use to just kind of gauge what other people are talking about that does well with sales. So let's talk about how you can leverage this. So drop in the chat. I think there's a delay, but drop in the chat whenever you see this, whether or not you are rarely posting. So never, not enough, or sometimes not reposting, posting like original content of yourself. I love to repost. Repost is easy. I see something I like. It makes me smile. makes me cry. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. And repost. Because you know why? I don't have to think. I just like, oh, I think other people should see this. So reposting is easy. If you post once a week, just drop in the chat weekly. If you post often, more than once a week, drop in often. Oh, look, often people, rarely. Listen, I was rarely too. A lot, like I've been on LinkedIn since 2009 and I just started posting like a year ago. It's been a minute. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about what you can do and how you can leverage it. So, how many of you would love to have inbound leads coming in your LinkedIn while you're asleep or awake? I would. So, let's talk about 4 ways that we can do that. First, we're going to talk about positioning. And you do not, this will be here forever. LinkedIn Live, I think my team sent reminders for those of you who are on. If you are on and you just happen to be seeing this, then like save it somehow, because LinkedIn Lives like get lost in LinkedIn Live land. So first we're going to talk about positioning. This is where you start. If you are crunched for time and you don't have a lot of time, this is where you start. I want you to show up as the business you want to be, not the business you are. So what happens on LinkedIn is sometimes people are working a job and they're like, I think I'm going to try to do this new thing working with these new people. And nobody like reaches out to them to say, "Hey, I'd love to pay you to try to do this new thing working with these new people." So I want you to show up as the business you want to become. It's just like if you've ever built a website and you look at it like 5 years later and you're like, "Oh my God, that was terrible." We want to show up as the business we want to be, even if we're not there yet, because there is evidence that you know the thing you know. So I don't want imposter syndrome to creep up and be like, well, Bethany, I can't say I work with corporations if I don't work with corporations. I'm not telling you to do that. What I'm telling you to do is I'm telling you to show up as the expert in project management if you are the expert in project management. There's evidence if you've been paid by a company to do the thing. Now, if you're doing it on your own, all these other things pop up in your mind like, are they going to pay me? Why would they pay me? Who am I? You know what you know, and you're getting paid to do that in real life. So I want you to show up as the best version of what you want to do. And if you change your mind, change your LinkedIn profile. Because you know what? Nobody's going to look at it and be like, wait, last week Bethany said she was a keynote speaker, and this week she said she was a strategist. What is she? Nobody remembers anything you post or what you say. So as you pivot and as you transform and evolve into whatever you're going to be when you grow up, I still haven't figured it out. I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up. It changes constantly. So guess what? So does my LinkedIn profile. So you can change and modify and pivot as you decide what you're going to be. Your profile should be crystal clear. A confused mind never buys. So your banner that's at the top of your profile should also match what your headline says that's under your bio. Should also match what you talk about in your about section. Should also go into your featured section. So if I'm saying I'm a keynote speaker and I work with sales teams, then in my headline, I'm like helping sales teams drive more revenue in less time. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, your banner just said you work with sales teams. So I guess that's what you do. And then in my featured section, I was like, hey, you want to know the state of sales in 2024? Click here to get my latest research or whatever it is. Like the theme goes throughout. Now, for some of you, you're like, well, what if I do a bunch of things? Okay, you be clear on one thing on your banner and your headline. The bunch of things that you do are the problems that you solve in your about section. But don't say, I do workshops and I do training and I do speaking and I do car washing and I do dog sitting. Just talk about the problems you solve or the outcomes you deliver in your about section. If they want to know the how, that's what you say for a conversation. That's what you say for content. But you don't need to have it all or your whole life story in your about section. The about section is not about you. It's actually about the problems you solve, the people you work with, and how you do it. how you do it, put in your content, but very high level, how you solve your problem. I have a 5-step methodology that helps salespeople go from 0 to hero. Do not, like, that's terrible. Don't ever use that. Anything that's 0 to hero is like 1980s. So your profile should be clear. You should have all of these things that just align with the work you want to do. And if you decide that you don't like that work any longer, change your profile. Nobody cares. Nobody's judging you. It's all good. Okay. So, how do you optimize your profile? Your banner's at the top. That's the image. Keep in mind, 76% of people that visit LinkedIn are on mobile devices. So, if it looks great on desktop, just pull it up on your phone and see how it looks and be like, okay, because what you'll see is you do not need to put your email, your website, your phone number in your banner. That image should be 3 to 5 words that talk about what you do. That is it. And then your headline is right below your profile picture, right below your banner. You have 45 characters to say the problem you solve. Why 45 characters? Because you're like, I have way more characters. You do, but whenever you post, what they'll see on all the comments is your photo, your name, and the first 45 characters on desktop, on mobile, and like 55, 60 characters on desktop. And if you don't know what it looks like and where it's getting cut off, then you just pull it up on your phone, you make a comment, and you see how much you can read, and you'll see where it gets cut off. I had one person that was doing, I forgot which videography, I think, and her part of her word got cut off that was assisting. So it's like working with corporates to ass. I was like, we got to change that. That we got to change that word. And she didn't even know, because she's like, oh my God. It's fine. It wasn't in a bad context, but you get what I'm saying. Your featured section, 1 to 2 images of the thing you want them to do. So if you want them to sign up for your newsletter, it's an image. 1, because all you see on mobile is 1. 2, because all you see on desktop is 2. LinkedIn is 2 different platforms. There's a mobile version of LinkedIn and there's a desktop version of LinkedIn. So if you've ever created a post on mobile and you save it and then you go to your computer to try and finish it and you're like, where's the post? Like, did I complete it? Yes, on mobile. So mobile and desktop are 2 different things. So your featured section has one headline, image that's like this. There's no text. You just point to a link. So if you want them to sign up for a newsletter, it's one call to action. If you want them to visit your website, if you want them to hire you a keynote speaker, you want them to book a call, featured image number 1 will only show on mobile. That's the far left one. That's the most important one. Secondarily, featured image number 2 is on the right side. So when you go through your featured image, your featured section, a lot of people put posts. So they're like, let me put my most famous posts, the ones I got the most engagement on. There's no value in that. Unless you get viral posts, then there is value in that. But most of them, featured section, what call to action you want them to do. Now, the other thing is you want to add super duper valuable content. There is a way to go viral on LinkedIn, and we'll talk about that, and I'll show you a couple of examples. That is below your featured section. You see posts. You see posts before you see experience. Experience, same thing like about you. Your about you is not about you. Your experience is not about you. So if you're like, well, I have all these degrees and all these credentials, that's great. That goes at the bottom because nobody cares about that. All we care about is ourselves. So all your customers care about is themselves. So feed that appetite and just talk about the problems you solve, the outcomes you deliver. There's a couple of profiles, and one guy is like, my mission to increase revenue cycles and create new revenue streams. That's not his mission. That's his customer's mission. But guess what? His customer reads it and she's like, oh, that's my mission too. I want new revenue cycles. I want new streams of revenue. So your experience is about them too. At the very bottom are recommendations. You can ask for recommendations with people that you've worked with if you work. You can also ask for recommendations if you're an entrepreneur. If you're new, get recommendations from people that you just worked with. get recommendations from people that you've worked with 10 years ago. You just want recommendations so people see that say, hey, I would love if you can give me a recommendation. I'm starting this new thing, really excited about it. And I can also write it. So if you want me to save you some time, I can write the recommendation. You just edit it. You give them a link. This is where you drop the recommendation. You give them some copy. They can edit it. Most times people just copy and paste it. So recommendations just builds up social proof that you can do what you say you can do. Got it? Okay. So now let's talk about visibility. There's 3 ways to be more visible. Hello? It said something went wrong. It is probably the weather. Ugh. Okay, can you guys hear me? I'm back, I think. Oh no. Technology. Uh-oh. Let me see if it came back. I think I'm back. How long does it say? Okay, I'm back. I think I'm back. Sorry. Oh, yay, I am back. Thank you. I've never had that happen. Mercury's not even in retrograde. Okay, so influencers are people that have access to your audience. They've already built up a network of your audience, your decision makers. That's their audience. You engage. You do not, if they post something and you're like, that's wrong and that's stupid, and I'm going to set the record straight. Don't do that. You're not showboating them. You're adding value and to their comment. And so it's weird. It might be weird because you don't know these people, but it's okay. You're just commenting and going into whatever the flow of the conversation is. So add value to their comments and the decision makers will see you. You might get connection requests. If somebody views your profile in premium, then I just connect with them because they're like, "Oh, I'm kind of familiar." They don't know why I'm familiar, but they accept the connection request. Now I'm connected to the decision maker. Competitors. So if you have competitors that are doing anything on LinkedIn and it's organic and it's or it's ads, you can comment on competitors and their customers might also look at your profile. It's kind of sketchy. Sometimes people can block you. So it may not work, but if it's a really large competitor and they like don't even have you on their radar, then you can do that all day and they won't even know. They'll just be like, "Oh, somebody else is commenting." Okay. Now events, this is an event. This is a LinkedIn live event. There are also LinkedIn online events. I can post an event. So say I'm doing a Zoom. I'm doing a masterclass webinar. I'm promoting it on all my channels. I'm inviting people on my newsletter. I can post that event with that Zoom link in LinkedIn. You lose some people because most of those events you have to register for. Sometimes people on LinkedIn don't like to register for things. Sometimes they do. If you're solving a problem and they have that problem, will I give you my email? Probably. It may be a personal email. It may not be a work email, especially larger corporations. Sometimes they won't give a work email, or they give a catch-all email, which is basically like Bethany's catch-all at bethanynonami.com. And it's just a generic email that I have set up specifically for things like registering for events. So you can host your own event. You can also register to attend an event that someone that has access to your audience or an influencer or a competitor is doing, or a like topic. So if I say I want to find people that want to learn about sales, Do you know how many LinkedIn events are about sales? If I register to attend as an attendee, then I will see every other person that is registered for that event, every single name. You can even export them using software and things like that. You can only export, I think, 2,500 people, maybe 1,000 or 2,500 people. But you can connect with people and be like, hey, I'm going to the sales event too. What do you do? I'm not pitching. I'm just saying, hey, I also want to learn about sales. What are you doing? Or I'm also at this event. What do you do? And sometimes people will be like, oh, I run a sales team. Oh, cool. I train sales teams. What type of sales team do you have? Like, I wouldn't say that early because they're going to be like, oh, sales, cancel. So, but you can use events to basically hack other people's audiences. Does that make sense? Are you guys still here? Okay, I'm just going to keep going. I think you're still here. I'm just going to keep going. Presentation is not visible. Thank you. Because I'm not sharing. Because I got kicked out. Hold on. Share screen. Thank you. Struggle, man. Okay, well, let me change it. Why didn't I think about that? Duh. It's Friday. It's that Friday thing going on. Okay. Thank you guys for staying. You guys are troopers. Okay, let's get to the fun stuff. Alrighty. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about credibility, authority. Let's talk about viral lead magnets. This is like my obsession right now. You can go viral on LinkedIn. Viral is not a million views and maybe not thousands of comments. How I measure virality is thank you. Thank you guys. Oh, you're troopers. Hopefully you have a drink, a nice, stiff, strong drink. Hopefully, so virality is measured in the algorithm by reactions, comments, saving, or reposts. That's how something is viral on LinkedIn. You can force virality. If your content is good enough, then you can force them to like or comment or connect with you or save it or repost to get the thing. So if you want to watch how this goes, I'm going to do this on Tuesday with this data. So let's talk about what it is. It is something that you add massive value. It is not it's not a light thing to do. So when you create a viral lead magnet or a viral post, it might take you days to work on it versus an hour to come up with something and just post it. You don't post them all the time. You post them maybe every 4 weeks and you ride that 4 weeks and nurture it and like milk the Jesus out of it. And you do another one. You don't know what will work. So you don't know if you can give data. You don't know if you can give like the ultimate guide to hiring a construction company. You don't know what will work. So you have to create a couple of different things to test it and see what works. It should be so good that people would pay for it. And they should say that. So at the end, they should say, man, this was so good. I would have paid for it. That's how you know it's the right level. It should look overwhelming. It shouldn't look like something they can just see and be like, oh, okay, well, yeah. Yeah, it's I can't do that by myself. They shouldn't be able to do it by yourself. They shouldn't be able to do most of the things that you can help them do by themselves. That's why they need you. It should look busy. They shouldn't be able to read it, and it causes virality. So here's a couple of examples of lead magnets that have gone viral. And some of these are brilliant because they've taken known brands and they've picked it apart. The point of having really good content is you show people how you think. You don't show people how you talk. You don't show people cutesy little things. You don't do things that are clever in your copy. I love like cracking jokes. And actually, I thought it was funny, but apparently I told ChatGPT I was funny, and they're like, "You're not actually funny." I was like, "Oh, well, I must be witty." And they're like, "No, you're just sarcastic." I was like, "Well, I thought it was funny." And they're like, "Nope, that's sarcasm." So you don't do cute little sarcastic things like get off the struggle bus. And people are like, "What is a struggle bus?" Oh, I guess the struggle bus is just something I ride. So this is what a couple of examples of posts that have gone viral. Now, there's one in the middle that they have the colorful one right here, and he looked at Stripe. He's a copywriter, and he analyzed Stripe. His customers are direct to consumer brands, so B2C, and he would basically, everybody knows Stripe that has an e-commerce brand because most of the processing for e-commerce brand goes through Stripe. So it's just like he could break down PayPal, he could break down Stripe, but his customers aspire to be at the level of Stripe. So he said, I spent 4 weeks breaking down a $20 billion sales funnel, marketing funnel with who? Stripe. He doesn't work with Stripe. So basically, he says copy is everywhere. Copy is on the landing pages, copy is on the checkout, copy is in your email newsletter, copy is in your ads. So he broke down everything that Stripe does. He broke down ads, he broke down emails, he broke down websites, he broke down cart checkouts, he broke down email campaigns. He signed up for email newsletters. He got retargeted with ads and broke those down. And basically, he showed how he thinks. And he said, this is great because of this. This is great because of this. Where we look at it and like, oh, Stripe's page is so pretty. It's so modern. No, Stripe has scientifically engineered copy to be persuasive, to be emotional, to intrigue, inspiration, and motivation. So you start your business. And when you start your business, you use Stripe to get all the money. So he used that as an example, and he broke down the whole thing. Now, he's got a team. So it took him however long it took him. For those of us that don't have a team, we've got to figure out what we can do that's like that. So some of these, one guy builds a landing page. So he's like, I broke down 45 of the top converting landing pages and told you what all of them have. They all have a hero image. They all have this. This is above the fold. The headline is less than 3 sentences, 3 words. There's a call to action button. So he basically is a landing page expert and broke down the highest converting landing pages and gives you a template of what your landing page needs to have. So when I build a landing page, I now have a checklist based on the highest performing landing pages. Another guy actually looked at 220 investment memos because he helps people get funded. So he said, I analyzed 220 investment memos of why they accepted the deal and they're funding the deal. So guess what? I'm going to give you a cheat sheet of how you can get these memos. And now you have a guide so you know how you can get funding. Well, he wants you to pay him to help you get the funding. But how valuable is it for an expert to break down 220 deals that got funded? So now at least I go into it knowing what I need to have. So this is why these are not things that you post every week, because it takes time. What you'll also notice in some of the copy, notice how the copy goes like this, like the words are ascending. That's called ascending and descending text. So some of them have like this flow where they either build and each sentence is longer, or they descend and each sentence is shorter. It's a mind thing for reading. You can test it and see if it matters or see if it doesn't matter. Now, this post here got 10,000 comments. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. I don't think you can see my mouse. So the post on the far left got 10,000 comments. The post in the middle got 10,500 comments. The other posts all had thousands of reactions, comments, and reposts combined. But all of them led to qualified deals closing. All of them led to leads in the pipeline. That is the metric we measure when we're trying to create viral posts. So what LinkedIn cares about, oh, thank you, Kristen. What LinkedIn cares about are reactions, comments, reposts, and saves. You can't measure saves. You can see reactions. You can see comments. You can see reposts. That's what LinkedIn cares about. Those to me are vanity metrics. Those are like, they make me feel good or they make me feel bad if I don't have them. What I care about are how many people are coming in my DMs, how many people are qualified leads, how many of these are leading to calls, and how many close. Because once you know that, then if you're having a slow month, you know you got to do more lead magnets. If you have too much, then you can still do lead magnets, but now you can put people on a wait list because you're booked. Now you can figure out a way that you can scale. Now you can figure out, well, I can't take on any more projects and I'm at capacity until next year. Maybe I could offer a group program that's $100 a month because I've got 100 people on a wait list. Well, guess what? 100 people paying $100 a month is just 10K for them to talk to me and stay in my funnel until I can take them on. But these are problems we don't have unless we have consistent lead flow. Okay, so now let's talk about the part that nobody wants to talk about, but everybody has to listen to. You don't have to listen to it. You're free to go. You're a grown up. You're a human. You can do whatever you want. But let's talk about sales. These are conversations and selling by chat. This is called social selling. There are people, the guy that I told you that made $1 million in the last year never took a sales call. Not a single sales call. He sold everything through DMs. Everything. He had a coaching program and he had a one-on-one consulting. So you could pay X number of dollars and get his courses with group calls every week, or you could pay more dollars and get coaching with him for 3 months. Not a single sales call. So look, this dude would talk to you in the chat, epic lead magnets, amazing lead magnets, just added value. He spent 6 months adding value before he ever pitched anything. He was trying to learn how to sell on LinkedIn. He's a sales guy. He was trying to learn how to sell on LinkedIn. Then he started to have sales calls with, or chat and people with DMs. Then he would qualify you to see if you're a good fit. And he'd send you to a Calendly link and he'd ask for your WhatsApp number. And I was like, I have a phone number and I have WhatsApp. Is that the same thing? So you give him your phone number. The Calendly link tells you after you book it, you will be chatting with him at the time you selected on the calendar. In WhatsApp, in text. Close the deals. He had a 40% close rate. Now it's up to like 70%. And now he even qualifies less in the chat because he knows what they need to see. He knows what they need to hear. So he gets them qualified. He sends them to a page that basically says, here's a video. Here's what it's like to work with me. Here's who it's a good fit for. Here's not who it's not a good fit for. Here's the expectation. This is how long you can expect the plan will take. This is how you work with our team. This is what happens after you buy. If you think you're a good fit, just let me know. You can't even buy it from there. You have to go back to him and have a conversation with him and chat. He tested it because when he had a button on there, his conversion rate dropped. So he had to get you back in chat. Then the second chat is basically, okay, it looks like this is a good fit. Do you have any questions? No. Are you sure you don't have any questions? No. Okay, here's another time to book a call. You book a second call, you get another page. And the last call is on WhatsApp with the Stripe link. There's no sales call. So whatever business you want to design, whatever that process looks like, whatever that sales process needs to be to fit your life, you can kind of build it and sell it on LinkedIn. Okay, so let's talk about it a little bit more. So am I asking you to have conversations with complete strangers? Yes. Yes, I am. But here's the thing. LinkedIn is like the largest B2B networking event that you never have to get dressed to go to. Like never. You can be in Zoom closed the whole time. So it runs 24/7. All of your decision makers are there. And at first, they will be complete strangers. So if you wouldn't say it in person at a networking event, don't say it in your DMs. Don't say it in your conversations. You have to make this natural, and you first have to have a conversation with someone. It's like if you've gone on a date and you get to the restaurant and you go to order and you skip to dessert before you ever get the appetizer, and you don't even get to eat dessert, and the guy's like, "Hey, do you want to go home? Do you want to go to my place?" No. I haven't even eaten yet. You can't do that in the DMs. You can't go from "I don't know you" to "buy my stuff." So it is a new skill. It is different than what most of us are used to, but it is having a conversation with people. How's your summer going? Oh, it's raining here. I was just on a LinkedIn Live and I lost the internet. That was fun. Like, it's having a conversation with people. So, what are the benefits? If you are pivoting, if you are going into something new, having conversations with people, you can get market research versus building your business based on your assumptions and building something that no one wants. So you can have market research conversations and you can say, "Hey, I'd love to just, can I ask you a couple questions? Because I'm really leaving corporate America and I'm starting my own business. And I feel like I'm off. So would you be able to help?" Most strangers, if you've asked them for help, like, want to help. And I know it sounds weird. Now, if they're super busy and you're like talking to a Fortune 100 CEO, then they're not going to ask for help. Don't ask them for help. Unless you're on the same social level that they are, then they might. If they're super nice and they have good time management skills, they might say yes, but most of them will say no. You can also nurture connections. You can add value and educate in the DMs. So if you put out this viral lead magnet that's amazing, and you're like, "Hey, you hire construction contractors, right? Hey, we just put out this guide of what construction decision makers need to do before they hire an engineering firm for their construction projects. Do you want me to pass it along?" If they don't respond, then you're not hurt. You just don't pass it along. If they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool," then guess what? You get to send them your lead magnet. You get to send them your value add. You get to add value. You can also put that PDF on your website where you send them a link to your website. Don't send them the PDF. Don't send them the file. Put the PDF on your website, and it's just a page. It's not gated. They don't have to opt in for it. It's just a page. They go download the PDF, and you're like, "Oh, here you go." And they're like, "Oh, cool." They download the PDF. Well, guess what? When they download a PDF on your website, the PDF opens in a new tab. Your website's still open because they had to go to your website to get the thing. Now they're on your website. So just ninja trick. It builds trust and authority. You're giving value for free. You're serving, you're helping, not selling. You're adding value. You're helping them get better engineering contractors, better people in their business. You're helping them. And that builds reciprocity, even on a subconscious level. If you can, in that lead magnet, if you can shift their perspective, something happens on a subconscious level. So if you are in an industry where there's a lot of misinformation, or there's a lot of people out there that don't educate the buyer, they take their money and then the buyer is burned. Like, I had to deal when I was building websites, like around the MySpace pages. Like, they literally look like MySpace pages with like 10 value propositions and like red highlighted text and like flashing, so bad. I had to sell websites. Well, so many business owners had bad experiences with website people. So they're like, "Oh God, I just paid $5,000 to build a website and it was terrible and it took 2 years." No one ever picked up the phone and called, and Bethany was like, "Bethany, I just had so much fun with my last website. I just wanted to build another one." Said no one ever. But it is our burden to overcome whatever is in the past. If you've ever dated somebody and they were cheated on and they don't trust you, you're like, "Dude, I didn't cheat on you. She cheated on you. I've never cheated." Like, it doesn't matter. It's our baggage. So you can use this value in this content to add value and build trust and build reciprocity. And you can also get to the point that you've earned the right to qualify and you've earned the right to make an offer. So you add so much value. And for the guy that sold 1 million with no website, the minimum that he had to talk to people was 3 months. Now he's not talking to one person. He literally has thousands of chat going on at the same time. Um, and it sounds like a lot, but they're at different stages. And there's a way that you can use software to help you manage your inbox and all these things, because LinkedIn's inbox is the worst. Sorry if there's anybody on here from LinkedIn. Love you. Not your inbox. But you're earning the right to make an offer. Anything is possible. You can sell on LinkedIn. You can sell products on LinkedIn, because guess who's on LinkedIn? People. Guess who buys products? People. You can sell services. You can sell access to you, memberships, communities, low ticket. You can pre-sell and tease value. So I'm doing this LinkedIn Live today as a test to my lead magnet that I'm releasing on Tuesday. So this is a preview to build up buzz, but it's valuable, or hopefully it's valuable and you're getting value from it. So then when the data comes out, you might be like, oh, wait, Bethany's going to release her data. It's not an offer. It's just value. It will help you sell better. And if you sell better, everything's easier. You have money to solve problems. You don't have as much financial stress. Your boss isn't on your back because you're not meeting your quota. Everything's easier. So it may be uncomfortable. You got to give yourself grace. This is a new muscle. This is a new thing that you're working. It is not the type of muscle that we all want when we go to the gym, where we go to the gym and we do the workout and we're like, wait, I went to the gym and I don't see the abs. You mean I have to go back? And oh, by the way, I'm going to be in pain afterwards. So the pain from the gym will be the rejection. Expect it. It's coming. You know that after you work legs, it's going to be hard to walk for a couple days and you might fall on the toilet. That's okay. You know the pain will go away, and you know that you'll go back next week and do legs again, because you want super cute legs and you got to work on them. So this is a new skill. This is a new muscle, and you may suck at first, and that's okay, because everybody sucks at first. No one comes out of the womb and they're like, woo, you're a gift, baby. Sales, you're welcome. That doesn't happen. So we all suck at first. Content. You might do a lead magnet. You might put your heart and soul into it, and no one sees it. No one engages with it. No one responds to it. That doesn't mean you quit. That means you do it better next time. So if you do this for 90 days, it will change your business. It will change your life. I guarantee you it will. So I think that's all I got. Okay. So be knows at, sorry, didn't check this one. You want to be known as the go-to source. You'll educate people. You'll add value. It will increase your visibility. I'm sorry, 3 actions you can take. Be known as the go-to source. So that's you're doing through content, high value lead magnets, things like that. You also want to increase your visibility. Tell people what you do. Tell your customers, tell your friends and your family, because you know what? Your friends and family have jobs. Your friends and family know people. They might not help you. You might not be able to get things from them, but they know people. So if you say, hey, I don't know if you know that I do this thing and I help solve these problems in my business. Do you know anyone that you've heard has those problems? If not, they might work at this type of company. They might be in finance. They might be in HR. Do you know anybody at your job, or do you know anybody like in your circle? They'll be like, oh, well, I played basketball with the lady that runs HR at Delta, like Delta Airlines. Yeah, she's terrible at basketball, but I know she's in HR. You don't know. So just put it out there, and you should do that on a quarterly basis. And then also look for opportunities to partner. So if you go through this process and you're like, let me find who has my customers, you can search for who would be competitors. You can search for who would be on LinkedIn that talks about certain things. And you can say, hey, I do sales. You do marketing. I don't want to do marketing. You don't want to do sales. We should partner up together. What does that look like? Everybody, for people that have marketing customers and they're like, they always ask me about sales and I don't want to get into sales. Like, I do not want to have to help them with that. Cool. I can do that. And then I don't want to do marketing. So I don't want to do graphics. I don't want to do TikTok dance. I don't want to do any of that. So anybody that I have that I do sales, but I don't do marketing, I can flip your way. So there's probably people in your network that can be partners like today, if they know what you do. So these are different conversations. The conversations of how you can help your customers is one thing. The conversations of being in these different networks and even your close network, friends and family, that's another thing. The conversations that you have with partners, that's another thing. These are all conversations that you can have in LinkedIn or in your email or in text or wherever social platforms are. And you have to dedicate time every day to grow your business, to grow your sales, to sell. So it's a time block. If you can do a time block and you can commit to it and not be like, oh, I'll do that in the afternoon and do something else in that time block, you will see a difference. It will pay off. Okay. So I think that is all I have. So I am done. Thank you guys for hanging out for so long. And thank you for not leaving when the internet decided that it wasn't going to play nicely. Super, super appreciate you. And thank you all for showing up in the chat. I really appreciate it. I didn't see any of it. I'm so sorry. LinkedIn is weird. Like it doesn't do things well. So I will, if you tag me, if you have any questions, I will make sure that I get to it and I'll answer you. I'll answer you here. And then I'll also send you a message. So I have it and you have it. And then if you have any questions, please let me know. This will be here forever time. It's not going anywhere. And I appreciate you guys. Have an amazing weekend. All right. Bye.